right, let me just start the Telegram and then we can begin. All right, folks, welcome. We are live on Telegram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, as well as Rumble. This is episode 8 of season 2 of Campaign for America with Dennis Andrew Ball. We're going to be talking about and listening to his airing of the Guardianship Gulag, which he did on Friday, which will be good. This is important stuff. This is about the Guardianship corruption, folks. So with that being said, let us begin, and I will play the intro, and then no, I'll just read the disclaimer, then play the intro, and then you can do some housekeeping, and we can segue into the Guardianship Gulag. How about that?
Okay.
The views expressed on this show are expressly the views of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views, beliefs, or opinions of News for Us World, its hosts, broadcasters, or affiliates. Remember, folks, always use your own discernment when viewing. We encourage our viewers to think for themselves. Welcome, everybody. As you can see, I got my little mic stand now to go with my mic, so that's an upgrade. Got a little bit of new equipment from the recording and stuff. So with that being said, let's get into the intro, and then you can do some housekeeping.
Right. We can't see you though.
You can't see. Okay, it's because of the hold on one second. It's just because of the Zoom lag. That's it. I'll fix it right now.
Okay, there you are.
Better?
Yeah, that's better.
All right, cool. All right, here we go.
In 1980, Ronald Reagan wore a white suit, a red tie, and a white shirt and addressed the nation. Hi, I am Dennis Andrew Ball, and I am running for President of the United States. I am talking to you right now because the debates that were conducted this week need to have a presidential response. The economic issues that both Barack Obama and Mitt Romney answered created in the minds of many of us unanswered questions of how do you sustain economic growth in the United States of America. In light of the decisions and the events that have happened since 2008, what do we need to do to reduce the deficit, increase job creation, maintain Social Security and Medicare, and provide the opportunity for our children and future generations not only to survive, but to thrive in a global economy. I would like to talk to you quickly on how I perceive what needs to happen. The United States of America at this time is suffering because the means of production have not equaled the ends of production that it requires in order to sustain its middle class. The United States of America must reindustrialize itself to make it possible that 23 million Americans can go back to work in industries that are productive for themselves and their families. What we are witnessing on a daily basis is the demise of the American family, the traditional American family of children, parents, and grandparents, by people in authority who have used, abused, and misused their positions to hurt our people. This must stop, and it will under my administration. The need at this moment of time is to get our organs of power in business to invest in research and development, to make it possible for industry to not only survive in America, but also to thrive. My attitude is that the production capability of the United States is equal to none. Our workers are very productive if given the opportunity, but they must be protected by government that concerns themselves with their best interests. And that has been a problem for many years in this country. My attitude also is that in order for our people to get themselves in a position to care for themselves and their children, we have to evaluate at this moment in time what is important for that to happen. And I believe that it will be more of a decision on the part of the American people when they go to the voting booth to decide who they think is best qualified to do that job. I believe also that we are in a position to make decisions that will impact the course of history and to bring about positive change in the lives of our family structure. I want to say that in order to do that, the means of production will have to be a top priority to reindustrialize the middle class and to provide the support for the future generations. I want to say this, that in terms of how we go about this business, the President of the United States should be very aware of what has happened and what needs to happen. My interest at this time is to educate through my administration of candidacy for presidency to make it possible for you to learn more about me and to decide if you are better off since the election of Barack Obama and the changes that need to happen in terms of the increase in gas prices and food prices, the mortgage forfeitures that have happened since him, and also what we will do in the future to make it possible for more people to be employed out of 23 million who are not. Consider this opportunity to communicate to your friends and your neighbors my thoughts, and I look forward to hearing from you. I need presidential electors who will vote for me through the Electoral College when I win the states in this country to become your next president. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
All right, Dennis, you want to go ahead and do some housekeeping real quick?
Yeah, let's do that real quick, folks. This has been interesting. The last 10 days, we had a show on Friday night with Cos Witten with Blog Talk Radio on my new book called Guardianship Gulag, The Perfect Crime by the Color of the Law. And we're going to play that today so that you can hear what was said. It was a very powerful discussion on what is happening to our society and how it has evolved into this terrible experience for many people who find themselves in anguish and despair because the government has created this experience for us through lawyers, through judges, through the courts. People are losing their lives, are being murdered. They're also losing their wealth, their property, their money. It's horrendous. It's what the Nazis did to the Jews, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, okay? So we've got to do something about this, people. We need you to participate in the solution, because if we don't, we are going to be so vulnerable to attack, not only now, but in the future. And we have to do something about it now. Failure is not an option. We must act now. And also, I want to say this without, very much more time here. There is a real interest in this UFO subject matter of my other book called Full Disclosure, We Are Not Alone. I got a hit from the Las Vegas Sun newspaper. I have forwarded information to their editors today from 2 days ago, and that's going to be interesting to see how that evolves. After our stay here in Tallahassee, which will be this Sunday, coming up again from what we did last Sunday on St. Patty's Day, we're going to be busy with that. So let us go right into the next phase here, Stephen, and move forward.
You want me to start at the very beginning of it?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it. We'll do. All right, here we go, folks.
Radio.
Did you know that elders and others are losing their rights to liberty and property? Anyone can petition a court to have a person deemed incapacitated. What if that person is you? The adult guardianship system was created to protect incompetent people and their assets. A court-appointed guardian, sometimes a total stranger, can force you into a nursing home and sell your home to pay for services. Treasured belongings can disappear as you are drugged and isolated from loved ones. Why does this happen? Unfortunately, the courts don't have the funding to supervise and audit cases. A guardian makes all decisions on your behalf, taking control of your assets with little accountability. The potential for abuse is frightening. Luckily, not all guardians exploit those under their care, but when they do, there's really nowhere to go for help. The National Association to Stop Guardian Abuse, NASGA, is working to reform adult guardianship to return it to its once noble purpose of protecting the human rights to life, liberty, and property and ending financial exploitation of assets. Are you or your loved ones protected? To learn more, visit stopguardianabuse.org.
Good evening, everyone. This is Marty Oakley of the PPJ Gazette Online, and this is the DS Radio Network.
Good evening, everyone, and that was the voice of the beautiful Marty Oakley, the founder of TS Radio Network. Sadly, she passed away a year ago, and we will be doing a memorial show for her on April 1st, which is the day that she passed away. That will be a Monday, and we really are hoping everyone will call in. We are carrying on her torch and carrying on her legacy, and helping me do that tonight is presidential candidate and author Dennis Andrew Ball. I'm so excited to have you back. Everyone loves you on this show. Welcome, Dennis. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being able to communicate with everybody tonight. I'm very excited and honored to be here. I'm actually sitting in a parking lot right across the street from the Capitol, the Florida Capitol in Tallahassee, Missouri, next to the Vietnam Memorial for St. Patrick's Day weekend, where we intend to have an event here for victims of whatever abuse the courts have handed out to us, for the media to cover and for us to get our stories out. And I think it's really important. That's why I'm here tonight with Guardianship Gulag.
Oh my gosh, everyone has been loving the name of your new book. It's such a unique and wonderful name that you named your book. It's sad that you had to write this book because of all the corruption, but I know we could talk for hours, and we have an hour, and so I want you to take it away. Tell us about this book. definitely let people know where they can buy it. I did put the link in the promo for here so people can click on that link for Amazon. And what's in the, because we haven't all got the book because I know it just came out. What's in the book? What can we expect to see in the book? And what was the inspiration for writing the book?
Well, that's a good question. And it's 10 chapters, and it's divided into 2 sections. 1 is the problem, and 2 is a solution. And I got to suggest to everybody to get empowered through knowledge. I basically am passing on the knowledge outside of the lawyers. The lawyers, you know, they're in there for profit and money. We're into it to correct problems that they create for us so that we know how to navigate better in a evil system that was created after World War II and really caught steam to me regarding the baby boomer generation, of which many of us as baby boomers, I think, were unaware of what was going on in secret to continue on the United States after World War II, and actually we're at war. There's so many different aspects of this too. I'm a scholar and an author. I'm not a politician, though I recognize there is politics involved here, and that's one reason I'm a candidate for president. But I see here too, you know, since 1860 and 65, the end of the Civil War, Reconstruction was a big deal. If Lincoln had lived, I think he would have done a better job. Construction is still going on, in my opinion. The Federal Reserve came, and with that, in the early 1900s, the taxes, all of this stuff, money becomes an issue. And I have that actually as one of my chapters. It's chapter 2 called Your Money. The first chapter is called Getting Old and Your Money. And let's face it, these are the issues that have really hung us out to dry because of the people who wish to control us with our money. And I might add right now, too, Mr. Biden signed an executive order, I believe on March 6, 2022, talking about digital currency, and that the bankers would be in control of your money as of March 11th. Now, I don't know if that actually went into effect or if there's been some pushback with that. But the money is a big deal. Pardon?
That's really interesting. And
well, it is.
Yeah,
you
scary.
better control our money. I'm sorry, but we're in really big trouble. And then they're using possibly the social credit score to control us in respect that there could be no bank runs because then they have control of your accounts. They won't allow you to take your money out. And then it comes down to if they don't like your politics, if they don't like the response that they get from you, then they can really shut you down and out to be able to use the monetary support that the Constitution was created to help us live a decent life. And I just think that we're in a war. We're in a war that was created by evil, and that the gulag is been created for us by that evil. And so we have to learn how to fight back. And I'm not talking about with lawyers. I went to law school. I've even got it in the book. But we all get old, and let's assume we all have some form of retirement income. And that becomes a target, as I see it, for predators, especially in guardianship. And I spoke about this the other night on another show where this woman in Naples, Florida, had 34 wards, and now her practice has been suspended because of the Office of Inspector General has done a study of her wards, and this is in Collier County, Florida. I'm in Tallahassee, so Florida is a right spot for a lot of bad things to happen to seniors because Florida is a senior retirement community, in many respects similarly to Arizona. And as I've said before, the gulag to me is where your money, your property, your life has been totally ransacked and kidnapped by people you don't know, all through a legal system that is stacked against we, the people. And yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't know, like, as you're out campaigning for President of the United States, and this is one of your big issues that you are running on, how many people do you believe in our country even know this is going on? Because I don't think it's that many. What are you seeing or what are you hearing?
Well, that's one reason I'm here, okay? And right now I am peddling a debate with RFK Jr. as a third-party candidate. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
I think it's very important that I debate him. I'm talking to National Public Radio, NPR, out of Washington, D.C. I am also talking to the Wall Street Journal to run articles. This will provide the support to elevate this campaign. And I've said before that I believe this campaign will make its way into the mainstream incrementally to make the American people understand we're in trouble. There's real skin in the game here. And that's not even talking about all this illegal immigration that Joe Biden has allowed to happen and other issues equally as important as to the culling of our senior citizens and or children being stolen out of homes for federal grant money through foster care. That's Title 4E. Okay? We have a lot of problems that need to be addressed by we the people. That's my goal here. That's my reason for being here. That's my role here, is I'm here for you. I will not stop fighting for you and anybody else who believes what I believe. The thing about it is when you know the truth proceeds before you and it helps you cope with all the bad things that people want to do to you. And there are many bad things people want to do. And that's part of the gulag, you know. And I say that tongue in cheek because I do believe that the reasons why this problem exists in guardianship is that people have found a way to commit the perfect crime by the color of the law. What say you?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And we have actually, on this network, renamed the guardianship industry to be called the parasitoid industry, because what a parasitoid does is it's not only like a predator that just attacks. Once it attacks, it basically has to latch on to its host, which is, you know, the ward, and then it sucks the ward dry of everything that it can to get its own nourishment, and then it kills the ward. And I believe that these guardians and these judges are allowing such neglect on other humans that I believe it's causing their death. And I know we talked about isolation. We talked about that last week, and isolation and what it does to somebody. And even on the CDC website, I mean, it pretty much you die early. And this is the first thing that these guardians do is they isolate people. And to read that how bad that is, and to see that it's okay, and that our government just seems to thinks it's okay, and the judges are approving it. The one thing that blows my mind when I first got to experience guardianship in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, was what people will do to other people for money. Another eye-opening thing for me is that, the media portrays the criminal to, be kind of like what we think a thug looks like. He's, a blue-collar worker with a hoodie on and, roaming the streets. And that's what they want us to be afraid of and to think this is, who the bad guy is. But that's not the bad guy. I honestly believe the bad guy is wearing a suit and tie. I am more leery of people that are dressed professional than I am of people looking like slobs because of everything that I've seen. Because at least the criminal that's going to, rob the bank or whatever, they're probably not going to, isolate you, medicate you, all that stuff. They're going to rob the bank. Some people they're gonna kill, but I don't think that their kill numbers are as high as the kill numbers that we are seeing and hearing about coming out of all these courts on an international level. And we're fooled. We're fooled by the media. All the movies showing what the thugs look like. When I say the word thug, everyone has an image in their mind of what they think a thug looks like, but it really should be someone in a suit and tie. The men are usually the judges and the lawyers, and it seems like the women are usually the guardians. I don't get it. But yeah, they're the thugs, and I believe that they are doing more harm to other humans than any other group out there. And what do you think? And I know we were talking about before the show started, the word gulag and where you got the inspiration for the title of your book. If you would share that.
Definitely. This title came from Alexander Solzhenitsyn's book, The Gulag Archipelago. He was confined to Gorky, Russia during the period of the Soviet Union. He witnessed many abusive behaviors similar to what's going on under Putin right now. And what I discovered in my own experience here in America with the court system, that it reminds me much of what he witnessed and experienced. I've reviewed his work, and what's going on here is mirroring what he experienced there. It's only worse there than it was here. But let me tell you, we are on a fast track to becoming a dictatorship under communism. I believe this. The proof is in the pudding. The gulag is here. They strip you of everything, including your money and property, separate you from your family members, cause you to have to pay to see your relatives. What is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something out of World War II, whether it was in Russia or Germany. And my attitude is the American people must stand up, get smart, and do what's necessary to be the force behind changing this. We have to change this. We have to fight, but we have to know how to fight, and we have to get educated. And so I'm going to say this to all the listeners tonight. Please consider getting resources and sources that you can afford and invest yourself in learning what is going on around you so that you are equipped if you decide to do something very powerful about it without getting a gun out and shooting people. And I mean that. The situation is, in order to create a solution, you have to understand the problem. You can burn down America, you still are going to have the problems until you understand the solutions. And that's why I'm here. And I've said that from the beginning, and I will continue, and I will never stop fighting for you or anyone else listening to me, because this is why I'm here. And I have 66 titles right now on 4 different platforms to educate our people to become the solution in America and beyond. And from what you said tonight, that you have listeners in Australia, I'm going to assume in Europe, Canada.
Yes.
These people are buying my books, and they know that what I say is true. And that's important. And as Americans wake up to the fact that we are under assault, this was what Marty was talking about.
Yes.
The situation in the court. She was a quick learn, and so am I. And I am not going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs knowing what's wrong. And I would highly encourage everybody who's listening tonight not to twiddle your thumbs either, and I know many of you are not twiddling your thumbs. But I do want to encourage you to look and review my work, because it's real and it has merit. And there is a way for us to get this done. I appreciate all the advocates who are working hard in their own way to do something in the state legislatures. But remember this, state bar associations are being controlled by the Supreme Courts of the United States and the states. The American Bar Association, the state bar associations, the Supreme Court, those judges all know what's going on here.
Yeah.
We, the people, are the ones who are being victimized by them. That's a fact.
Yeah.
They
I agree.
created this gulag. They're all getting a piece of the pie of somebody's estate. This is unacceptable. And your money, your property is yours. It doesn't belong to them.
I have a question. So a lot of people would say the solution is revolution or civil war. And I don't think that's the solution. And that's actually scary when I hear people talking that way, because I believe that the solution still is there in our elected officials, and that at the local level we need to start shaking these people out, voting them out. It's not that we need to rise up in a revolution where we should be better than that. It's that we need to understand at every level of government who are these people, because we still have the power to get rid of them. And the ones that seem to have, this is how I'm voting, the ones who seem to have the most money to send me a bunch of junk mail, those are the ones that are most bought and paid for. Because really the revolution, as far as like switching out our leadership in the way of elections, not by force and all this stuff, is still at the grassroots level. And we need to do our research and find our candidates who can't afford all this, all this junk mail to send you. And because social media, it's all out there and it's not expensive, and you can find who are the people that we need to start getting in place to get this country figured out. What would you say about that?
Well, I think we're in Reconstruction. This is what happened after the Civil War. And I think that the probate courts are the new slave courts. And they work very well with the judges and the Bar Association and the nursing homes and the psychologists and the social workers and the doctors. I mean, there's a pecking order here. And again, I call it in the gulag. This is the gulag. And as it relates to what you say, that is, I believe, the right understanding of this. Like I said, you can burn down the country, but the same issues will still be here. We are talking about the family. I have the attitude, if you're not fighting for your family, who are you working for? And if it's not for your family, then there's options here that you may find yourself so in love with money that you would sell your mother for $1. And see, that to me is totally ungodly, unrighteous, and unacceptable. Totally.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think some of the problem, and that is, I mean, we see a lot of that, and it's super disgusting. But I also wonder if part of the problem is that people are just having such a hard time just basically paying for their basic needs, and it causes them to maybe do things that they shouldn't be doing, and yet it's wrong. But like us as a society, like, you know, the housing crisis, and, you know, just not having the right jobs and education, and just everyone's in debt. Everyone is just working to just pay bills, and there's nothing extra, and it just seems like no one can get ahead and dig themselves out of the hole. And then they go to these nefarious ends to try and make ends meet, and then you have these evil people who see these kind of people and just pull them in. And there's just such a bigger problem as far as like selling mom down the river for the $1. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a very good illustration of what we're dealing with. And this has been going on for 75 years, ever since the end of World War II. It's gotten worse because of the boomer generation. And that's why I'm here, okay?
Yeah.
We also know that corporations had taken over our country. In 1871, that Abraham Lincoln was concerned about and afraid that would happen. And I believe it was in 1889 that Rutherford B. Hayes, I have a book called it's called Full Throttle, America's Dirty Dark Secret. And he says in his treatment of the United States that we're no longer a nation of individuals, but corporations. And so you see, we're moving towards 1900, Jekyll Island, those people there, the family bankers, the Federal Reserve petition, the bill there to sign, Woodrow Wilson signs it, creating the IRS to collect taxes. The tax thing is out of control. Biden wants to raise taxes on the rich. Lincoln said, if you do that, you're going to kill your country because they'll leave. They won't want to pay taxes on your income, on their income, on your income. That's not acceptable to me. The country was not formed on collecting taxes from people. The country was formed to have a more prosperous opportunity under the Constitution that they created to have a good life. That's what it was designed to do, to create a good life. You can't have a good life if you're under the stress of unprecedented tax levies that the government yields out, whether it's property tax, income tax. I have the Ball Act that I created with my book, The Fair Deal, as president. I will repeal the income tax. It's unconstitutional. I will repeal the property tax. There should not be a property tax on your property. If you have to pay tax on your property, you don't own your property, even if it's free and clear. Because if you fail to pay the tax, they can foreclose and take your property. That is unconstitutional. And that's the kind of thing I want to talk about in this campaign. That's part of the gulag. When you are ambushed and cornered, that you have very few options to get into your life's retirement income for your own health and wealth, and to pass that on to your own family members, and a government is tyrannical to take that from you, that is wrong. That is theft. That is like somebody coming into your home, holding a gun to your head, and saying, pay me or I'm going to blow you away. And that is part of the gulag. And that is what's got to be addressed and changed. And I will do that for the American people. Praise God.
Thank you. Thank you. I just got a message, and they wanted you to know, here's an article, Bob Casey illegally used taxpayer money for campaign flights. The records are showing, and we all know that Bob Casey is the head of the senior citizen, the Senate Committee on the Elderly. What do you feel about these elected officials just using taxpayer money for their own personal gain, and how are we going to rein that in?
Well, I posted something on today's show on comments that you prepared for Blog Talk, and I talked about the Supreme Court of the United States. They have not done their job. They have not held people accountable. Yes, they are federal jurisdiction as far as federal stuff, and Bob Casey is a U.S. Senator. He should be held accountable for what he does outside of the law. If he's not being held accountable, why isn't he? And I'll tell you why he's not. Because the Department of Justice has a two-tiered justice system, those for them and those for us. And therefore, he's in those for them, and we are out here for the those for us. And there's a big difference. And so I put the blame there on the United States Supreme Court, 9 justices. As a matter of fact, I would not be unacceptable to entertain being a United States Supreme Court justice. To me, John Roberts has a duty to rein in the Supreme Court and tell them that they have a duty to protect the American people, not to be duplicitous and protect them versus us. The Constitution was written to protect the people. Unfortunately, what's happened, and I am very much why I'm doing this, is because there is a problem. It's insidious. It's very deep. It requires a surgeon to go in and cut it out.
Yeah.
And I'm that man.
Absolutely.
I know how to do this, Cause. I can get it done. I know how. Praise God, I do.
I believe
That's
you.
why I wrote my books. That's why I write these books. I am a specialist. This is a gift.
Yeah. It just seems like there's so much greed, and these greedy people have so much power, and it's so hard to go up against these people. And, I mean, when we talk about guardianship, we are talking about people's lives. Lives and souls are the most precious thing on this planet, and for them to bring so much harm to other people's lives and in my opinion, to kill them is the most evil thing, and to isolate them from their family. To people, all that matters in the world to them is their family. And for you to be elderly or disabled and to be taken away from your family is I have no words for it. It's just the most evil thing that I can think of. And it's all being done in the courts. And what do you have to say about like these agencies? Every single person that I know that's been in guardianship, they have filed their complaints with the FBI. They have filed their complaints with all the local DAs and the Attorney General's office and the Medicare fraud, and no one gets anywhere. I call it the great abyss. You just file the complaint, and it's the great abyss. like, why are we bothering? I mean, I always still say file the complaint because you're making a paper trail, but why are these agencies not doing anything?
Again, I'm going to tell you right now, I went to law school, and it's in the book. When I was 22, it was 1975 in San Diego, California, and I started reading about bankers targeting little old ladies for their money and property after their husbands died. Well, my mother and father were World War II Depression children. My father was a veteran. My mother had a Secret Service clearance. She worked on classified areas of naval intelligence in San Diego. And the situation was they did okay. I mean, they didn't have college behind them. My father didn't, but had an eighth grade education. That was it. The situation was that how could anyone who grew up in a good family betray them? And that's my big problem with my own generation. I feel betrayed. I know many other people feel betrayed. And many of the people who fought and died for our freedom, the ones who have survived that, feel betrayed. And, of course, the ones who sacrificed it all are betrayed. You just have to look at the white crosses out there at the military graves to know what I'm talking about. And so all of this is very timely and important that we get this right now, and that's why I've written Guardianship Gulag. We haven't even covered half the book, but the realities are I want people to recognize there is something there and here for them, that they need to have a book like this equally and disposable so they can hold on to it, they can look at it, they can read it. Oh, by the way, we have guardianship here, Chapter 3. We have the courts, Chapter 4. We have the judges, Chapter 5. That's part of the problem, first 5 chapters. Then this second part of the book is called the solution. That has to do with Chapter 6, lien filing. This is where you can do something to protect your investments that have been harmed by these people, these evil people. Let's call them who they really are. They are there to enrich themselves at your expense. And also to possibly eliminate you, too. Medicate you. That's it. I mean, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman in that field, because you've got judges who are women, you've got judges who are men, and every aspect of this cabal, this gulag, has men and women in it, like a pie that's cut up in several pieces, and each one has its own particular label. And I get that all of us deal with the reality of the mentality of those who are controlling our loved ones and also controlling us. Because if we love our people, well, then the issues and the actions of these evil people is having a direct impact on you and me. And that in of itself is a problem, because
and they seem
your
to
family
enjoy
is important. Right.
Yeah.
Your family is important.
It's all that matters.
It does, and it's unfortunate, too, I think in terms of my own family, that my own father, I call her my father's daughter. I don't even recognize her as my sister. She's 5 years younger than me. I don't recognize her as a family member from all the harm that she created because of her mentality. And she was not raised to be like that. My parents were great people. I've written a book called The Champ, Winning in the Ring of Life. People got to know who Dennis Andrew Ball is. He's running for president. My goodness. That's a big deal. The realities are, I've got what it takes to be the president.
Yep. And you are so intelligent. Just every time I talk to you, and all the books that you've written, it's like over 70 now. So intelligent on so many topics, and it's just mind-blowing. And then we have senators like Bob Casey, who thinks Australia is a U.S. territory instead of their own, like, oh my, we were talking about that in the chat, and it's just like, wow, they don't even like know the world, and they're in there making policy. So we have about 20 minutes left, and I see we have a few people on, and I've also been getting some messages. I want to give people an opportunity if they would like to call in and ask Dennis any questions. I'm going to call out the number. The phone number is 917-388-4520. When you call the number, use the number 1 so that I can see that you're wanting to talk. So now's the time. If you have a question, please call in 917-388-4520. Or if you're too nervous to talk online, there's a whole bunch of you who know how to get a hold of me on Messenger or text. I will see those messages. If you want to send over any questions or comments, I can read them as well if you don't want to come online. So, yeah, we have a little bit of time for that. I definitely have been getting messages that people love the name of your book and they love the artwork. So let's talk about the artwork. Where was that inspiration, the fact that people are commenting about it?
Well, I would say that was something that was a gift to me. And to be candid with you, when the books are created, the covers are usually the last part.
Yeah.
Books are a science, believe it or not, to put together in terms of everything. And I have to say this, I've been blessed. I had a different cover when I started, but then I went through some revisions. I went through a period here where I wanted to make this as easy and simple for the reader to know how I believe the Gulag has been created and sustained and supported. But I also wanted people to recognize that there are solutions, and in this 10-chapter book, it will provide you new information to get you thinking how you can go and correct these problems in your personal experience with the courts so that you are better equipped to deal with this. And I'm saying, in Chapter 6 on the solution, lien filing, Chapter 7, IRS final tax return, guardians who fail to do that are hiding tax returns, tax money. The money they stole is also taxable. The IRS wants to know that. They want to know that they will get an investigation. Al Capone was convicted on tax evasion, and he spent the rest of his life in prison, and that's a good thing. And there are people in this guardianship world, both men and women, by the way, who are equally as guilty, but the ones who are really guilty are the ones who are proving these bills, these orders, these receipts.
The judges.
The judges. They are the ones who are really guilty.
They're the ringleader. Yeah. Hey, we have a question. We have someone on the line. Let me get them on. We have area code 703. Area code 703, you're live and on the air. Do you have a question for Dennis?
Yes, I do. Hello, Dennis. My name is Marcel. Hey, Todd.
Marcel, thank you for calling in.
Absolutely. I was looking forward to hearing Dennis. I told you before, I was intrigued with the title, Guardianship Gulag. I think it's a great title. And the fact that the book is so handy, 5 questions and then 5 solutions. I think that's a great thing. But I'd like to ask about 2 things. One is there's a Dr. Susan Hustler, and she came up with something called legal abuse syndrome. You might be familiar with this, Dennis, because she talks about people who got caught in the court fighting people. The system goes on them so badly, so it makes people give up. Sometimes it doesn't think it's money. It's just that the system is so complicated.
Marcel, we're starting to lose you. I'm not getting a good connection. But I did pick up that you're wanting to ask Dennis about legal abuse system. Legal abuse syndrome. There you are. Now we hear you. Okay.
Oh, okay. That was it. And the only other thing was, could he explain how to use the lien?
I'm not sure what she said. What did she say there?
What was the last question? The last thing
was how to use the lien. He said you could use the lien.
Oh, how do you use the lien, like LEIN, the lien that you were talking about, Dennis?
Well, that's a good question, because in chapter 8, I talk about collecting the evidence. And that's extremely timely and important. If you have the evidence, then you can file the liens, because the liens gives you some form of protection against the theft of funds that have been taken from you, whether it is the guardian, whether it's the bank, whether it's the lawyers, whomever has profited, benefited, and enriched themselves at your expense, and you can show unjust enrichment from the documents that you have, then you are in a position to proceed onward and forward. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm a court official. I was appointed by the bankruptcy court in 2005 as my mother's trustee. I have all the evidence. I know what I'm doing. And the realities are, I am a busy man with that. While I write books, while I've campaigned, I am doing it all for you, people. That's why I'm here. Call it what it is. It just is. And I am a man of God. That's what it is.
Wow, I think that the lien thing is an eye-opening thing, because I never thought about that, and I sure wish I did. Someone's enriched themselves at, my benefit. One of the things that the guardians always do after they kill their victim, because they're parasitoids, they contest the will so that they have all these fake charities lined up, and they decide that the money goes to the charities, which is actually them. I'm going to put you on mute here, Marcel. We got a lot of back noise. Or is that Dennis? I hear ambulances going.
Right, they just came down the road here, but that's okay.
Oh, is that you? Okay, let me bring Marcel back. So what would you say about someone who's now dealing with the will, with them contesting the will, because that's like the final stage when they get the rest of the estate?
Are you asking me what to do if they contest the will?
Yeah, would you be able to put a lien on something like that? And it's always, a kangaroo court that they're contesting wills in.
Exactly. I mean, you got it. As long as you have the evidence, that's what you should do. You should do that. Unless there's some statute that the state has created that says only a mechanic's lien can be put on. That's something that you can even talk to the state legislature about and say, you know what, we got a problem here, people. We need to be able to lien, based on the evidence, the harm these people have done to us. And that's a fact. And
I really love that angle that you're coming up with. This is huge and great information. Do you know, is there a statute of limitations to do these liens?
Not if you have fraud in the court and the evidence. and you believe that there was a conspiracy to defraud a vulnerable adult, and you still have continuing violations going on in the court. I mean, I'm still in court after 2005. My mother died in '06. That's 17, 18 years ago, and I'm still in court. And guess what? I filed a form 3949A with the IRS. Why? Because the guardian in this case is still in business in Arizona, Glendale, and he never filed a final tax return, which he is required to. Why didn't he do that? Because
I don't know.
crook.
Right. If you or I didn't file a tax return, they'd come after us. But but I think you're right. The two-tier system of who will be prosecuted and who won't be prosecuted. Because the things that we hear being done to these quote wards, if you or I did that, we'd be in jail for elder abuse.
Of course.
It's so true. It's a two-tier. And I guess we don't know the rules. How do you decide which tier you're on? I'm guessing it's pay for play. This has been real eye-opening. And I think the other question that Marcel was asking, and Marcel is the founder of the Whistleblower Summit. By the way, she is an amazing person and also helps me on this podcast. So I was so excited when she called in. She was asking about legal abuse syndrome, because sometimes people are so abused by the courts that it's actually officially it's a diagnosis called legal abuse syndrome. And people who have this legal abuse syndrome, they're just going to curl up in a ball and they can't fight. They can't fight back. And and I get it. And how, I mean, everyone should be represented under the Constitution, whether you're suffering legal abuse syndrome or not. How can we fight for everybody and make it fair?
Well, we need to put people in politics to win elections and go in and change the system from within. And I will do that, people, because I know what to do. Let me tell you, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba is waiting for many of them. They have committed treason. There are trials waiting by military tribunals. This is unacceptable. This is the United States of America, not some third world country. And that's what they're trying to do, these people in the Gulag and the Cabal, to make us their slaves. Put a ring around our neck and a chain on it. If we do not fight, we must fight, people. And we fight intelligently. And that's why I'm here, for you. And I will never stop fighting for you. Why? Because if you're not fighting for your family, who are you working for?
That's right.
Very important question.
I have just been messaged a question because we have a fiery audience here. So this is going to be, oh boy, some people are going to call this offensive. But let's ask the question that was just submitted to me. All right. Do you believe that some of these judges deserve the death penalty? Because in third world nations, when the judge is not when the judge is not ruling correctly, they get the death penalty.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Doubt about it. My goodness. This is the United States. These people have a constitution. When they take an oath of office and totally ignore it and do whatever they want, there has to be consequences. And once the people who are the biggest offenders are put down, I guarantee you that is going to have an impact on the rest.
Yeah, and I would like to add to this question that was just asked. Thank you. It was an amazing question, and TS Radio Network, everyone can handle these answers. There are, from what I know, there are two laws that the judge can get the death penalty. I'm going to tell the two laws, and then I see what you have to say about it, and maybe if you know of any other. So first off, that's a two-part. It's felony murder. So the first you have to commit a felony, racketeering is a felony. And I believe that these judges are racketeering with the guardians and the lawyers. So we have a felony that they are committing. So now we go to the next level, felony murder. Felony murder is even if you didn't basically pull the trigger, but someone died while you were committing a felony, you are guilty of felony murder. So it's my opinion that these judges are guilty of felony murder. Now, another way to give the judge a death penalty is under oh my gosh, I'm just pulling this off the top of my head. It's the Civil Rights Department of Justice, and it's called the color of law. And so when a judge knowingly is enriching himself using the courts under the color of law and deaths occur, that judge then could, you know, they have like the range of what they could be guilty of up to the death penalty. And I do remember posting that like months ago, and if I had known that question was coming, I would have been more prepared. But I do know of those two incidents where the judge can receive the death penalty. What's your opinion on that? And do you know of any other ways that a judge gets the death penalty?
Yes. President Lincoln, Abe Lincoln, used Title 18, well, USC Title 18, Section 241, 242, to arrest judges. You don't hear anybody talk about that. No. He arrested them for treason. Now, whether they were killed or not, I don't know. But I do know the law says that if you commit treason, you're eligible for the death penalty. And I think there are people in this system that must die. I hate to say it that way, but the realities are there is no fixing this amicably. People have to die. Why? They have killed innocent blood. My mother was murdered in a nursing home in Arizona. There's nothing that can change that.
No, and you can't get those back. They are killing. They are committing murder. I love that you brought up treason because that's the third one. They've definitely committed treason. And all they have to do is take out a couple of these judges, give them the death penalty, and it's going to scare the rest of the judges that are all doing this. They might think twice about this behavior. And this is a hard topic to talk about. That, you know, the death penalty is very controversial. And the fact that, you know, we have a listener who asked that question. Thank you. It was a very relevant question, a very, a hard question. But I do believe that this guardianship, we have hard questions to ask, and there's some tough stuff. Oh, we have another message. Thank you, Mary. The one that I was talking about, it's 18 U.S. Code 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. And I was sent the link. Thank you, Mary. And that does hold the death penalty for the judges. And, yeah, I do think that they do need to be made an example of, because it would definitely make a difference. And these crooked politicians that are just working along with them, enriching themselves at the expense of others. Wow.
We must drain the swamp.
Yeah, you're right.
We must drain the swamp in D.C. and at the state level.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the man to do that, and all of us as well.
Absolutely. And we don't want to just go out and vote in elections that have a presidential. You need to vote in all the elections, from the little clerks to the school boards to, the sheriff. Like, you need to vote in all those elections, because you need to start paying attention what's going on in your community, and we can, change the tides. This has been a great show. We are almost out of time. I want to real quick thank our sponsors, and then Dennis, have you give us a final thought. But real quick, the sponsors of our show tonight are Marcel Reed and the Whistleblower Summit, and that will be happening this year, July 28th to July 30th, and that'll be in person in Washington, D.C., and Marcel and I hope to do a show very soon to announce everything about the Whistleblower Summit and also announce our panel. I'm very excited that we'll be doing a TS Radio Legacy for Marty Oakley panel on guardianship. We also are sponsored by the Australian Association to Stop Guardianship Abuse, aasgaa.org, and NASGA, the National Association to Stop Guardianship Abuse and Shenanigans in the Montgomery County Facebook page. And Dennis, any final thoughts before we end the show?
Yes, Chapter 9, filing the complaint. If you have the evidence, you can file a complaint against those who have harmed you. And you could have several. In my case, I have 17 liens I have filed against 17 defendants. Then you can go to court, and you can be confident that the court will give you time to present your case. And if the people who you have liened don't understand this, then it can go to trial, and the jury can get you justice. Praise God.
Thank you so much, Dennis. We definitely want to have you back again in a few months. You are just a fan favorite. Everyone loves you, and that should be a good sign that you are so loved. Be a perfect president for the United States of America, and thank you for everything that you're doing and sticking up for we the people. Everyone, have a wonderful evening, and thank you, and good night.
Oh, wow. That was powerful. That was a good show. You did really good on that one.
Yes, Stephen. This is why I'm here. And the listeners of this show and other shows, I believe, are beginning to understand why I am here. And
Uh-oh, you froze up there for a second. You there? Dennis? One moment, folks. I think we might have lost him. I'm not sure. His feed froze up for a second there. Dennis, are you with us? Dennis, are you there? Oh, we lost him, I think. His phone might have died. Well, dang. I was really wanting to hear what he had to say. Let's wrap it up then for today's show. Oh, wait, there he is. Are you back? There you are.
yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, you froze up there for a minute. Go ahead and finish your last statement, what you were just saying, because I was wanting to hear that.
Right. As I said, we have the opportunity with a kitchen cabinet for ordinary citizens to communicate with the president and create support for programs and policies that benefit the people, and provide the support also to put pressure on the Congress to do the will of the people. And if the people in the Congress don't want to do the will of the people, we vote them out and put people in there that will. Praise God.
Here, I agree with that 100%.
And that also goes to the DOJ, these 75 government agencies that Barack Obama created and supported, with 10,000 senior executive service managers who have polluted our society. They're unaccountable to anybody. They're despicables. We're the deplorables, according to Hillary Clinton. The realities are they got to go because they're supposed to serve the president. As president, they will be gone, and I will personally deliver their pink slips.
Here. Good to hear that. Yeah, I think senior executive service is definitely a big problem.
Big time. So I think we've done a really good job today to serve the American people. I understand over 2,000 people heard this treatment of guardianship gulag Friday night. Who knows, with the platforms that we are connecting with, including the newscasters, it's all positive as far as I'm concerned, Stephen.
Now that we're back up and running, I'll be resuming uploading the episodes. I was like when we had some issues there the last few weeks, I was like, oh crap, how am I going to freaking resolve this? That was big on the forefront of my mind. But we're back in business, so we shouldn't have any more issues. And if we do, we'll work through them, just like we always do.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Let's wrap it up, and we'll play our outro. Thank you for joining us.